talk about. I'll be honest, I've been so hyper focused on everything going on around me the last 2 weeks that I don't remember anything that happened 3 weeks ago in Aetolia. So, um,
That's true. I can't remember like the most recent Carnifex change. I guess we could start there.
I think
I remember the
Carve got
chainsaw.
changed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
which one got changed?
Carve, and I don't remember the Carnifex name, but it
Erode.
used to go through Aegis. And
Oh,
now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Aegis.
Yeah. That's a huge change in teams. I'm pretty sure that was like across the board. I don't think anything goes through it just anymore in terms of like breaking it. Unless you like make them like berserking or something. But
I think Force still goes through it.
yeah, does it?
Where did I
I've
update
never
my
had
trigger?
Force, so
It's
I think it
like
does actually.
yeah,
Right.
there's Force, Hourglass, Withering, or Parasite, and then Nightmare are the ones that I put in there.
But is Nightmare?
Oh, that's an Romancer thing. I don't know what the Indorani equivalent is of it. But yeah, so there's no more Erode or whatever the Warden version is of it.
Oh, is that Taint or something?
It might be. It might be Taint.
I actually
Welcome to
can't
the-
find AB Nightmare, so I'm not sure.
Oh, it's
what
Nightmares. It is Taint. Welcome to the Carnifex and Warden PvP talk show where we will be dissecting Oniromancy.
Yeah,
Nice.
let's carry
Nice.
on.
Okay, but okay, so let's talk about Erode and the impact on that in group combat.
Making Aegis safer or like more difficult to deal with, in my opinion, is a great idea. I don't see enough people really relying on it the way you can. Like I've watched Salts like take a very, very long team fight for significant amounts of time, for instance, just like the way he manages his reserves with it. And it's like a wonder to behold when I go back and read logs.
I think there's I think it's a good change not being able to do it because it's, well, honestly, I think it's something that just, I know for Shadow hasn't been really coded into a lot of systems or like just target swapping on Aegis, or hasn't been coded in such a way that it's automatic, and it kind of really shows like the I guess the lack of self-awareness going on because we don't have a road anymore to deal with it.
Good
I
point.
think it's also, I mean, just speaking generally, I think it's a good change specifically because group sizes have just been inflating, and it gives you a very, very strong tool to actually survive those when it's like, you know, if it's a normal fight and I'm getting hit by 10 people, I'm dead pretty fast. But if I can manage to get Aegis off, I am allowed to survive a little bit longer and maybe figure out something else that I can do.
Yep.
I can't find any news post on it though. That's annoying me.
Did you search announce or change log?
I was doing changelog. I'm about to do announce. There we go. I found the class lead post on it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Carry on.
Having more buttons like that, I think would be a good thing. So like making the ones we already have stronger, like, you know, not being able to be stripped or went through very easily is a great thing. Just going back to what was just said, it really helps you start getting into the mindset of like, what can you do from behind that's still helpful or can like bring you back up to where you can last a little longer. It really helps in outnumbered situations, especially.
I think also with it being gone from Carnifex and Warden, since they were really the only class that could deal with it, like so, like just guaranteed strip, I think it's good because it kind of I don't like being forced like or have the feeling of being forced to bring a specific class because nobody wants to play. Picking up a class is expensive, and you know, just expecting someone to always show up as this class or that class like makes it not fun for them if they want to play something else. It makes it not fun for you if you want to play something else. So
Yeah.
just removing that requirement by just getting rid of the skills effect like that, I think was a really good change too.
Yeah, I mean, I stay in Warden a lot anyway, just because I do think it's one of my own tankier options.
Yeah.
But if I felt like I was forced to be stuck in Warden just to be on Aegis carving duty, that wouldn't be super ideal. So I think in that regard too, yeah, it's a really good change.
It puts a little bit of pressure on people who do have the class too. It's kind of a bummer to like have that class but want to play something else, but nobody else wants to play Warden, for instance. That doesn't really happen, admittedly, with Warden. If everyone wants to play Warden, Carnifex seems like a popular class too.
Yeah.
But like for other classes that have buttons like that, or like have like abilities like that, it kind of it's kind of a bummer. But for some reason, this doesn't happen because like Warden and Carnifex are just really fun to play in. Like I would say it's a class that like feels good, especially in teams. Things like Suffuse. I don't know what it's called in Death Lore. The one that like lets you just regain health or regain mana.
Soul Consume.
Yeah, that is really really good in teams. Like it's another one of those things you can rely on to just buy extra time when you're the primary target. It's easily like one of my favorite abilities in the skill set because of it.
I think it's good for a lot of reasons, and in just like in general usage for like an average player, because it has high alpha damage in both bashing and in PvP because it's using a 2-handed weapon, so like it kind of scales to that.
Mhm.
It's very tanky, not just because of soul consume, but also you know. I feel like if I say filled plate, I'm gonna trigger a bunch of people, but I'm gonna go ahead and say filled plate.
All right, nice.
On top of like Soul Fracture, which I'm not sure what that is for you, whatever it is you guys use to do your version of Souls.
Mhm.
And then Soul Consume, like you said, and then Intercept or Hound Intercept.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. It's a very it does have Pulverize or whatever y'all's version is for killing, so that makes it kind of fit into a role in group fights, but it also it kind of like a jack of all trades as far as like survivability and everything goes. Like it's not super good. Like I'd rather have Inrani if I wanted to escape or just like completely avoid damage. I'd want Prey if I wanted to really rack up afflictions or something. But Carnifex just kind of fills all the roles good enough. So I think that's what makes it popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
No,
fine.
you're good. I was done.
I said yeah. That's all that was.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think another part that I think it shares with the other knight classes is that it's really good at supporting other people's roots, regardless of limb or affliction. Because again, like you mentioned, it's a jack of all trades. It's really versatile. So even when you're not the person taking all the kills, you are still setting up other people really well.
Something else that I think will probably come up in like a couple other episodes, like especially with the night classes, is I think Carnifex also has like a low floor. It's a very easy class to get into. Like you, it's very basic to be able to contribute in team fights, but it has like a really high skill ceiling, I would say. Which is like really good for someone who's like trying to get into combat, in my opinion, because there's like so much room for growth. Like you'll learn a lot of things on the way. Like, yeah, you learn about afflictions, you learn about limbs, you learn about all the different things you can do that aren't attacking in team fights.
it's even got pseudo support with the ability to or pseudo, however you say that word, with the ability to shield other people, not yourself.
Yeah, I think
Mostly kind of useless, but not. It's still like an attribute that is there. Like it can support defensively.
Sort of.
It's also got speaking a little bit on its like inherent tankiness, bolster, which I'm not 100% sure what the Carnifex equivalent is off the top of my head, so you might have already mentioned it, in which case I apologize, but it's you just get one free con, and you just refresh it.
Fortify. I think it's still Fortify.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think in that case, it's also very well. I personally think that it's a new player-friendly class because you have some options like Bolster or, again, I'm not sure what the Carnifex name is, but Homage, which gives you +1 free strength, and you basically just have to keep them up over time, and that's the opportunity cost of it. So I think, they help a lot with when you're starting out because you are just going to inherently be a little bit tankier.
Trying to remember which one that one is from Deathlore.
It used to be something like Crush Heart or something.
That's Indorani.
No,
No?
not Consume Heart, but Crush Heart. It's in Savagery, not Deathlore.
Oh, it's a.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's
savagery,
Cruelty.
Oh, right, Cruelty.
Does Homage have a really cool area-wide message
Yeah.
whenever you use it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Cruelty. We kind of mentioned this with bards with like just weird RP flavor mechanics. Like I love the shit out of Cruelty just because of that. Like I just remember like whenever we were doing nightings in the keep, like like everyone who was there who was in Carnifex would all use Cruelty like afterwards, or like if we did something in Bloodlock and it was very Carnifexy, we'd all spam Cruelty.
Oh, that's super cool.
It's kind of really neat and kind of like adds to the atmosphere of it.
See, now Yaki, you got some ideas of something you can do randomly in Duran when you do those things. There you go.
I just spam Heartbeat at the end of every event.
I wonder, do I still have it? Yep, I can still do it.
If you're sanctioned by the Sentinels, you have access to it, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if I was. Yeah, of course I'm sanctioned. Never mind.
Yeah, I haven't really touched the sanction list beyond adding people to it because, and this is actually for, I don't know if it's the same for Carnifex, but for Warden, our NPC that allows you to like invoke or train persistent traits onto our simulacrums, which is the equivalent to hounds, is inside the Sentinel Guild Hall in like a very sacred place in terms of lore. So if I want to make sure people have the ability mechanically to actually utilize the class, I pretty much have to sanction them, which is what it is. It's not like a huge deal. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've been doing with Sanction. I don't think anyone has been unsanctioned at all since I have taken over Pride Leader.
I kind of feel like you might should talk to that. I mean, y'all stuff, y'all do what y'all want. But I feel like that, like it shouldn't be necessary for you to have to pass out Sanction just so people can have full access to the skills.
I did idea it just because I wasn't sure if Carnifex was having the same problem. I probably should have asked. But yeah, I ideated it. I've been waiting a bit. I have a couple other things that I have been wanting to do for the guild, so I will probably ask about it when I get those things settled.
Well,
I
Carnifex
haven't
don't.
actually been.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask. Don't Carnifex doesn't Carnifex the class? Don't they have to go into the guild hall to get a soulstone? Or can they get that outside of it? Because I don't think they can outside of it. And I think that was supposed to be the idea. Like, it's two different skills, but it's still a thing you have to get from the original guild hall.
I am not sure on that. Zinnia's in chat. Oh, Ferenz is there saying yes.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. It's like you'll necessarily have to sanction people because once they get the ancestral mark, they don't have to get another one. Same thing with the soul stone. They just get it the one time. So people still have to be let into the guild hall to get that one thing, and then they're good for the rest of the time. Is how it should be going. Yeah. You just need someone to take you in.
That's fine enough interaction, I think. I don't think that's like super limiting.
It just sucks for newbies when it's the ancestral mark because it's needed so early on with some of the skills, whereas Soulstone, you can go a little bit further if you're not using Deathlore.
Are they multi-classing as newbies or?
Mm-mm. This is them picking
What?
up. This is like pre. It's mostly been newbies I've been having to take in there, at least novices that are trying to get their ancestral mark. I forget why they need it so early on though. I think it's
I don't think they need it.
You don't like need it, but I think a lot of new players would like to grab it as quickly as possible because I want to say it's like the first ability you see.
yeah, and I think that's maybe why it's been coming up then.
Oh,
Because I don't think newbies get Deathlore until they're actually part of the guild. That's their third skill, isn't it? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I think it's Communion. But
yeah.
it's been a minute, so I'm not 100% certain on that, but I think it's Communion or Hounds.
It's been a long minute since I was a Carnifex novice, so or even part of the Carnifex guild, so I can't necessarily comment on that. I don't think it was bad, but also I rolled into the game with like 9,000 credits and already built system, so.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so how do you guys feel about like let's say like if you were going to V2, like what would and you were Carnifex or Warden, what would be your preferred team up
Ooh.
partner?
Ooh, it depends on what we're doing.
You're just doing 2v2 blinds, like you don't know what you're going up against. You just know that you're Carnifex and you get to handpick another class.
Okay. Hmm.
I will almost always go with Wayfair if I'm going blind. And that could just be old bias, but I think Wayfair is really, really good 2v2 support.
Yeah, Wayfair is pretty good. Maybe Sentinel. Because Sentinel can.
So I was gonna like, are you guys doing that based on Carnifex's strength or just because of Wayfair's ability to 2v2?
It's just a really strong overall pick in 2v2, I think.
Yeah, for me, if I'm going in blind, I think Wayfair just lets you. It's also really versatile, so you can adapt your composition a little bit more easily than if, say, I don't know, picking a name out of a hat. If I run in with an Ascendril, I feel like my options are a little bit more limited because if I want to get them their insta kill, it's either Enrapture or Shatter, right? And both of those feel a little bit more limited to push for.
See, kind of disagree with that because I think an Ascendril and a Carnifex pushing, like, you kind of have to think outside the box of like standard kill routes, but I think like that damage output alone is going to be absolutely insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's 100% fair. It's probably not the best example. I was kind of just trying to, reach into my hat of class names and grab something.
No, I mean that's fair.
Sentinel. I think Sentinel would be a really good option. Ascendril would be a really good option. I like Sentinel because you can kind of pivot because it has a like limb-ish route that also uses freeze, so like it just synergizes with Carnifex limb, and like Spine Cut's pretty good. They can help push a lock. It seems like a pretty good pick.
I think I would also value Templar pretty highly, or
Yeah.
Revenant, just because, I mean, for the same reasons as Wayfair that I mentioned, they're also really versatile, and they would be pretty easy to support getting a kill, and they are also very good at supporting other classes' kills.
Yeah.
So it might not be like as much synergy as Sentinel, like Iesid lined out, but they have just pretty good synergy in general.
I would personally probably take a Praenomen. I think that Carnifex is gonna meld well with any Venom based class because like you're just getting double the soft lock into the Venom lock
Mhm.
push there.
Yeah.
I think Sentinel gets a strong, probably a scary strong
Yeah.
synergy there with Impatience and with Crush Throat, Destroy
Mhm.
Throat. Afflictions that I can't remember and I always confuse the affliction name and the skill name because they're similar but different. But anyways, I would take Prey just because Prey has I think Prey has the most secure and quick lock if given the right conditions because all you need is asthma and then it's sealed the next round with slickness and impatience and anorexia. And impatience is just like a death sentence for going up against a lot class, so which is also why I think Sentinel is so good on it.
Yeah. And probably White Templar is probably fun too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Templar is just so fast on the like the double
Yeah.
relock from like an implant or versus an implant and a Vorpal or an At
Yeah.
Doom.
Yeah, I guess like the main downside to having Templar versus something like Praenomen or Sentinel is you don't have the same depth of lock potential. It's still going to be pretty shallow, but when you've got a Templar and a Carnifex hitting you, I don't think it really matters if you manage to cure out of like one lock F because you're going to get relocked.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, am I going to get pulverized or am I going to get cold?
Yeah.
Retreed. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen real fast.
Yeah. What else? I think like kind of like what I was saying earlier about how and actually we all said it because it's a jack of all trades. You can probably fit it with about any partner. I'm trying to think of.
I was gonna say like
That's a good
Zealot
one.
and Monk, you really would not. I mean, you could still have some limb synergy, but it's not gonna be that great.
Oh, no.
So
Carny Limbs is pretty good, but it's not something I would be good at because I am terrible at limbs.
Ugh, I hate
But
limbs.
I was thinking about it more. I think they could set up, but I don't know off the top of my head if it would be as fast as another Venom class.
I think that it would be very good with Monk because something that's kind of scary about Monk, like if you just think about like Monk in a vacuum, is like the threat of telepathy after the combo. So like
True.
if you're always just focusing anorexia, like this is what I mean by vacuum. If you're just focusing on focus and then salve application and not worried about tree or renew or any other class skills, then eventually the telepathy is going to outpace the cooldown of focus. So it'll go like mind anorexia into mind paralysis into mind stupidity, and then like you get behind like that, and then you add that into Carney limbs, and Carney Sal route is able to push afflictions on its own with things like gut check and batter, and it starts to turn into some really scary stuff. Sorry. So I think that there's some pretty amazing synergy there where you're gonna be sort of pseudo locked without ever having any lock afflictions outside of anorexia, or you're just going to have a completely disabled parry the whole time.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that too much.
And for Zealot, Ward Effect does have like a little bit of fire damage support too. So I think some of the same things as far as limb strength still applies for Zealot. And you do have like it's a Hound balance. I don't remember how much it is off the top of my head, but you can do a little bit of fire damage. I don't know how viable it would be compared to the other options we've checked because I honestly don't know a whole lot about Zealot. But I think any extra fire damage can help Zealot a lot.
I think
Some of them don't count, so I'm not sure.
How
I've
do you
never
feel-
tested it, so I don't know.
how do you feel about Shaman as a 2v2 partner?
I mean, shamans can be pretty much any venom afts you want it to be. So it could be good support, but I don't know if the Warden would be as much support for the Shaman. If depends on what kind of kill route they're going for.
I think it's kind of like a Sentinel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think there's a way you like survive what the Carnifex is pushing if you also want to not get storm touched.
Yeah.
So it's
Sorry,
and I mean it does a lot of damage, just like a Sentinel does. So like I'm pretty sure like the pure damage would like choke someone out.
I think because you mentioned shaman, and then ideas just kind of started flooding in my head. So like, I'd have to have a little bit of time to properly weed out the bad ones and the not good ones. But I think there's a lot of potential there, just because just the AF split alone. Because all of a sudden, like, are you gonna get reclaimed or are you gonna get? I don't think you have the same kill rate as like the split between pulverize and retry.
Mm-hmm.
But just I don't know. Carnifex has a mean mental push. It's kind of mostly mute because like none of it really stacks on top of stupidity or anorexia. But it does stack on top of all the divulge afs, so it's and also the damage and claw, or is it claw fetish that's the bleeding one?
Yeah, claw fetish is bleeding.
Yeah, I think carve is a underutilized skill for Carnifex. It has an equal or an almost equal to AF rate for spin slash or whatever the warden equivalent is. But it does a lot of bleeding damage, and I know me and MJ tested it or played around with it a few times, and I think we kind of shelved the idea of using it full time just because of like best case scenario, like people handling it properly. It doesn't work, but I think that's side note. I think that's where a lot of people in Aetolia get off, is like theory crafting probably too much and saying, "Oh, this won't work because somebody can just do that." When the actuality is like, no, it's gonna work because people don't think that far into the fight sometimes, and it takes them a few times dying to it before they get to it. So
yeah, I could see us blendering with that.
I think the warding equivalent to carve is shed.
Or is this, which one is it?
High bleed determined by penetration stat of your weapon, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's identical.
It's high bleed, and it's a single target, or it's a single attack skill, but it's on a very fast balance. I can't remember off the top of my head if it equaled out directly to spin slash, but it was close enough to where it really didn't matter. And we did have some moderate success trying to kill each other testing it. But MJ is a megalodon swimming in a pond of whales, so I didn't have that much success, but she did have that success on killing me.
I wonder. I mean, obviously, Bard is very recent, so I don't know anywhere near enough to say anything, but Bard does a lot of bleed, so I wonder if maybe you could synergize around like bleed and mana costs with Bard using Shed.
I definitely think we still really need to work out Bard, but I definitely think Mana Barbs has a place in shit you can cheese people with in teams, or like small skirmishes specifically.
Yeah.
I could see it being fun for Annihilate. Get some Praenome in there.
Well, maybe Annihilate. It's more like you really just can't clot whenever you're bleeding with Mana Barbs, because it just gives you the same amount of bleeding that you clotted away while taking your mana.
Yeah. I don't know. You're giving Sid ideas now.
Just throwing your mana away, really.
Yeah, it's well, really, it comes down to a thing where like you gotta like decide what do you want to throw your mana away on. Would you rather just tank the bleed while you use renew and focus to get the mana cost for mana barbs away, or do you want to try to clod it away? So, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Go
is
ahead.
there any other team stuff that we really want to talk about, or we want to like try to go into 3v3 or 4v4? I think you start kind of getting super crazy with the ideas there.
There's nothing that really comes like directly to mind as strong as the ones we've already talked about. I'm sure there are that I'm just forgetting, but yeah.
I think 2v2 is the sweet spot for like tactical fighting, and
Yes.
then it's mainly like you're opening Pandora's box there, like stuff that's not really viable becomes very viable, and
I think
then 3+ years it's an eldritch abomination, and you're just staring into the abyss.
3 is probably okay. That's like the most I would do. Like I think the Sentinel versus Carnifex showdown. Speaking, of those two guilds that have the class we're talking about today, I think that showdown was like really fun. It's probably some of the most fun PvP I've done in Iron Realms in a really long time, actually.
Dude, what?
And
I still have the log because I loved every minute of that.
yeah, and like part of it was a lot of people got to participate, but we still found a way to have like fair team sizes. And like you got to see more of like how classes interact with each other instead of just what we see at like an average lesser when people kind of just form up into the death ball.
Yeah. Where Frozen's not really a big deal in a death ball because no affliction's really a big deal in a death ball, but excuse me, sorry. Uh you're not dying immediately in a 3v3, and then like I got hit with Frozen from Ice Worm and then some Warden stuff. I don't know. It just became like all of a sudden it's a very big priority affliction because it's not only setting me up to get killed, but it's also stopping me from doing any defensive actions. And it didn't take 10 minutes to get there like it would in a duel. It's just an example of like how the meta shifts with 3v3s. But it also wasn't an immediate death sentence.
Yeah, like everything just has so much more consequence at that team size, which is a good thing. How do you feel about like talking a little bit about more like dual oriented stuff?
Yeah, that's probably my specialty for sure.
Yeah, man. Here's I want to ask you like a like an overall kind of question. If you could name like 3 things like someone starting as a Carnifex or a Warden like should kind of think about learning to do, or like think about how they should manage, or like 3 things that like help them kind of move forward, what would those 3 things be?
The number one thing, and it's probably not the number one thing to lead off of if you're actually trying to be helpful. But the number one thing is to, like Aetolia combat is very linear in curing, but at the same time it's not just because of the way cooldowns and abilities and stuff like that work. So don't go into things thinking like I have to stick stupidity to get to anorexia, because if I just hit them with anorexia, they're gonna focus it away, and I'll lose my momentum with that. Think of it more like if you give them stupidity and they focus it away, you've got 4 seconds or 5 seconds to where you can give anorexia and they can't focus it away. So it's mainly just you need to be aware of how curing works specifically, especially for that class, since it has no like lock sealant like other classes might.
Hmm.
The second thing that I would give them is
The first one is a lot to wrap one's head around.
Yeah.
Admittedly, like
I'm sorry, what?
The first one is like a lot to wrap one's head around. Of
Yeah,
course.
like I said, like that's not something
Yeah.
you give someone out the gate, but
Yeah.
it's still something that I want to preach mainly just because I see a lot of night classes in general do it, or night
Mhm.
players. The second one would be I don't know, like off the top of my head, like it's hard to like tailor advice specifically for Carnifex outside of like because I'm used to
Yeah.
giving general advice, but
Yeah.
I think one thing that helped me a lot when I was first putting my head together around the class was, you know, uh, obviously I already knew about like lock conditions, but figuring out the specific ways in that you can get someone to those lock conditions, especially using like it's a tune, I think, for Warden. Uh, and that's the one where basically you assign one venom. When you afflict it, it will then also afflict them with the other venom that you've chosen. So figuring out lock conditions based on including that and planning around it is, I think, something that helped me a lot when I was still really at the basic level of trying to figure out what the hell I was doing.
so sort of like I guess not like throwing normal lock because like there's a normal lock advice where like give 'em asthma and then clumsiness and then slickness and then anorexia, but like learning how you do that as a Carnifex because it's not the same as doing it as any other class. There's
Yeah, like
similarities, yeah.
I came in from Templar, where it's a lot about like, here are the 6 lock Fs. If you ever have them at like 4 or 5 of those, really easy. You just DSK with one of those. And if you have 3, then you really want to Vorpal all 3 missing ones. But Carnifex doesn't have the same sort of tools for Vorpal, so planning around a tune instead was a learning process for me. And part of that is probably because I'm not as experienced with PvP as a lot of other people who have picked up the class. But for me, it helped a lot when I think it was Ketos gave me some advice around it.
I think my third bit of advice would probably be just as unhelpful as my first to someone starting out, and which is to not listen to me. And that's a big personal take on me giving out advice here lately. Is like sometimes I feel like I without meaning to, like I kind of squash creativity whenever I'm talking to people because they're all like, "Whoa, what if I do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we tried that. It doesn't work. Don't do it. Just do what I say." So I think mainly people should just I think they should experiment with their skills and learn what they do, and they'll come up with something on their own. And then they could take the sage and sound and tested and true advice of their elders and apply it to what they've learned and come up with something new. Not quite the answers I think you were looking for, but
No, I mean it's I think that's a good that's like a good way to put it. You can learn a lot more through experimentation than just like listening to someone lay out how it should work. You can learn a lot from like reading logs too, which is technically kind of just laying out how it should work if the offense is good enough. But nothing really beats like actually like getting in there and understanding how all your tools work and like how fast they are or like what they do. Because I think this is true of a lot of kits, not just Warden and Carnifex, but a lot of skills go underappreciated for what they can do for you in like very very niche situations, but you will eventually run into those situations in PvP. So you know having that tool in your tool belt and like knowing that you can use it is very important.
uh, a great example of that is Kagura uses Hound Defend, which I had completely written off as useless, and I told everyone who had ever asked me about it that it was useless. But the way Kagura was using it and the reason behind it, I was like, that's kind of smart. I'm gonna steal that. And so, yeah, should
Um,
definitely just experiment with your own skills.
yeah. I think SWAT goes underappreciated.
SWAT is really nice.
SWAT is so good.
It's
SWAT's
probably the
amazing.
best defensive skill in the game.
It's like, I'm getting sick of you. Just whop, knock him out the room.
Yeah.
Or, oh no, my friend's about to die. I
Or
hope I
that,
have
yeah,
enough
you could just
HP to
knock him out.
survive.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, it's a win-win. Either you get the kill or you save their life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What would be your 3 things that you would say somebody knew? You put us on the spot. It's only fair.
Yeah. My number one would actually be experimentation. I'm very much like when I get access to like a new class, I sit down and I like use every skill. I like try to look at the timing and like how fast it is and think of how like practical it is to actually use. So that's like my number one thing is please do yourself a favor and like go through and like understand all the options you have, especially for a class like this, where they do have kind of like a little bit of everything. Some of it's a little subjective, but they have a lot of cool tools.
Yeah.
Number 2 would probably be don't stress about putting yourself up against someone above your weight class. Just don't stress about it. Any practice is good practice. I see a lot of people who are like nervous to get into things, or like nervous to start trying, and like the best way to get good at something is to like suck at it and get experience. So you can learn a lot from watching someone talented beat you at a game, and then you can incorporate that yourself. So don't be afraid to like get in there and lose a bunch. This also goes for aspiring bards. And then number 3 would be kind of something like, please focus on like how curing works, because you're right, this class doesn't have something that like kind of makes the lock super secure. They kind of have to like relock repeatedly to get to where they're going. So understanding like cure order and especially like focus order is kind of important.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that a little bit, when I was testing on Iesid, because I have a few routes basically that I'm not 100% sure on whether or not I'm doing anything right with. When I got the lock, it would just be like, all right, so lock, pummel chest, oh, need to reseal stupidity, oh, need to reseal stupidity, crush chest, and then finally pulverize if ambush didn't kill him by then already. I think touching a little bit more on that, like understanding curing, like Iesid mentioned, and understanding what it means when you have a shallow lock, like Carnifex and Warden does, because pretty much I think we get the ability to disable renew, but other than that, a lot of it is very shallow.
Yep. That's a really good point, specifically like how shallow lock is. Like it's also because like there's just no way to like seal the lock, so you have to basically just keep pressure on that while you're working on your other things. So if you get a really shallow lock and you understand that tree tattoo or renew can cure anything, you don't have those blocks and you have to work, those into getting your crush. And it's a very high maintenance lock. It's not like Praenomen or Luminari if they get to pull that off. Where like you basically only have one thing that can save you, if you're lucky. Yeah, so going for like it's very easy to get a quick and explosive lock on Carnifex, but you're really just gonna hurt yourself if that's all you're doing is pushing for the fastest lock possible. Because you can get it in like 3 rounds. So
yeah, the class takes some like wind up right at the start. The like chewing through enough soul to like start actually casting things. But like once you get it started, yeah, you can kind of just like rev it up like a lawnmower and like lock and relock people a lot. But you're right, it doesn't really get you anywhere.
Do you think you guys should talk about what the differences are between the two different locks for anyone that is trying to just learn these classes?
The two different locks?
Well, you were talking about shallow versus the full
Oh,
lock.
so
Okay.
when they refer to shallow locks, what they really mean is like it's a lock without a lot of coverage or like something to like keep it sealed in.
Mm-hmm.
So like Carnifex doesn't get anything like that. They kind of just have to like keep the afflictions on you, so you can never really get to the good stuff, like asthma and everything else. Because like someone said earlier, they really only get like impairment. That's like it. Then they have the lock Fs. That's like it. But like something like Sentinel gets destroyed throat, we get burnt skin, we get impatience, we get all the like complicated stuff that makes it impossible to cure that you can like line up and people can't get out of.
And now Templar can give Paralysis and Stupidity from a non-venom source, so it'll never get taken off by Purity Enchant.
That's another thing to consider, especially for shallow locks, is
One purity
segueing-
tick.
Yeah, segue into Praenomen for just a moment. Like, the power of purity really depends on what class you're fighting, but it is good on Venom classes, specifically like Carnifex, because they don't give a lot of extra lock afflictions like Impatience or, I guess they do give Impairment, but they don't give like a Disrupt or an EQ knock to keep you from being able to use your class skills. Whereas like something like Praenomen, they can do all those things. Praenomen has one of the tightest locks in the game, but Purity will instantly undo that because they have to have a Venom source coming from, or they have to have a lock affliction coming from a Venom source. So, yeah, just knowing, not necessarily just cure orders, but also like how, well, you did say like how curing works and like the mechanics specifically of like each type of cure thing.
I honestly forget about purity all the time, and I'm pretty sure I don't even have it right now.
That's bad.
I know, but I don't. I also don't, mostly, if I do anything, I do in group fights. I don't really do a lot of 1v1 anymore, so.
The last time I went into Sect, because I was technically, based off of like early season stuff, I was still top 10. I was like, that's not accurate. So I went in for a day in Sect, and predictably, I lost a lot. And then at the end, I realized, oh, I haven't had Purity Enchant this entire time. So a general tip maybe would be to check and make sure you have everything you need before going into Sect or going into, you know, more RP-oriented 1v1s.
Yeah, when guilds ask you to do that as a requirement in the combat paths, it's to build the habit because everyone forgets once in a while.
I ran into Sect earlier this morning without Gecko or Preferar
Good job.
as a Revenant.
Oof. Oof.
Felt bad.
Okay, I got purity. Now you guys can feel better for me.
Hooray.
I do.
Does chat have any questions?
We haven't seen any. Most comments have just been generally on the skills, and someone said about, we need more battlefields, which is not wrong. Does anyone have any questions, though, about Warden or Carnifex or just, something to annoy these guys with?
Callers, call on in.
Is that really? It does sound like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dial into our 800 number now.
Yeah, pretty much.
We'd love to hear a little bit of conversation,
Oh.
How do you go about setting up training for warhounds and simulacrums?
Oh.
Well, it's a lot easier now.
Yes.
Yeah. It is a lot easier now.
Look, my hounds are made and soul pacted and general archetypes. I believe I have a total of 4 hounds as Carnifex, and 3 of them cover the affliction routes entirely, or at least everything that I think is good.
Mhm.
Oh, that's true.
It's like
I might actually have to switch to Carnifex to view my hounds, and
I
haven't
have
played.
I have a single simulacrum with everything I think Iaku told me to have. So I could switch and go see what that was, but because I don't
Was
remember.
it for bashing?
I think he just gave me a general list. I don't even think it was for bashing. I think it was like
I
just
don't remember this. I just know that there's like one general list that I give people for bashing, just because bashing is really easy to set up. But I have like 3 different AF sets, mostly because I messed up a little bit, and then one set for limbs. So
I
if you ever like need the stuff that I have, I'm totally happy to share it with you. Um, just because a lot of it is kind of now that breeding is gone and everything, a lot of it is just kind of like knowledge of what are you going to need for the routes you want to run.
yeah.
What afflictions does your hound need to be able to give people?
And I think that's mostly what the question is leaning into is like, what are the good archetypes, and are there niche type ones that would be good for novices to be aware of, new
I
people.
think I can't really comment on all the Carnifex or all the Carnifex mains who show up to lessers and all. Uh, I know for a fact if I mention Mio, she's gonna like paste into my DMs a perfectly set up Warhound for groups specifically. But there are skills kind of like I can't remember the name of the major skills. Hurting, I think.
Is that
Yeah,
the
hurting.
block one?
Yeah, it's the low chance block.
Yeah,
Charm Blade.
that's. I believe that's Hunter for Simulacrum.
Yeah, it's
Um,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say hurting is it has its uses in 1v1, sure.
Mhm.
It sort of I don't think there's an objective answer on it. My personal opinion is that I wouldn't really care about hurting in 1v1 just because of how small chance it is. But in groups, when really the only thing stopping people from dying is either Aegis or being in room, it's phenomenal and fantastic, and you should definitely have it for groups. But I think that falls to like a group type of archetype. So having different hounds set up for stuff like that.
I know Hunter, or you said the equivalent was hurting. Uh, I have had it actually be very useful in certain situations, uh, even outside of 1v1s, or maybe even I could say especially outside of 1v1s, because sometimes I think back in the war, uh, I had chased someone down and they weren't able to escape before backup arrived because the hounds blocked their movement out. Um, it's hard for me to specifically say like these are the best traits, because ultimately I think what I did was I tested a lot with different routes to see what I would need. And I will say one thing that I think a lot of different a lot of different uh, Carnifex and Warden use is its tactician for us, and I think
Hound Mark.
Mark,
Yeah.
Oh, Mark. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know what it is for Warhounds, but it's Taskmaster for Communion. It's the one that they wake you up if you fall asleep. I think that has like niche
Oh.
uses too.
Oh yeah, I would definitely have one of those in reserve for like assassin or potentially bard.
Yeah. If
Narcolepsy's a bitch.
if narcolepsy gets really annoying, Warden and Carnifex get a good response to that, actually.
Yeah.
Zinnia has a good. Well, Hound Track's a general Warhound ability, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. The equivalent, I think, is pursue or pursuit.
I think so. I think you're right.
Well, I can't even.
It's one of the things
Yeah.
I remember being
there it is.
excited about because it had been used on us a few times, especially like approaching lessers and stuff, because it is a good way to split up groups if people aren't coordinating.
I was gonna
their
say a
movement.
few times MJ, and this is not knocking or anything, but MJ just loves to use it as much as she can when people are coming up. So I love it.
It's an awareness check.
Exactly. Oh, I almost choked on water. Excuse me.
Don't do that.
Ugh. Okay, I'm good.
I also kind of like for fun if someone shouts something that's like directly rude or antagonistic to Eaku. I will sometimes send a simulacrum to go like push them and then bring it back.
I love it.
Oh, I don't think I've ever used, or I don't think that I've personally ever considered using hounds like that. That's a great way of being like aggressive without, going straight into PKing someone.
Yeah, because it's not gonna hurt them. It'll just I think it literally just walks in and shoves them,
Yeah.
and then I pull it back.
Okay. Well, any others? I think most of the rest of these do lean into, especially with the core ones, do lean into like particular routes you would want to take. Like when you're talking about Simul Poison and Fire Strike, Freeze, any of those would definitely lean into more of the specific routes or instances and all that.
Yeah, I mean, for example, just touching on that very, very slightly, I use a set that has access to freeze and ablaze for salve or limb support in groups because I don't use that for 1v1 at all. Not because it's bad, but because I'm bad at limbs. So I think definitely I would suggest just playing around with your routes and seeing which ones are going to be most helpful for what you are trying to do.
Yeah. And I do like, is that Xenia then in chat?
Yes, the person who said she didn't have anything to say.
I know,
a lot
right?
to
She
say.
had nothing to say, but she's giving us like all the tips here. I love this idea though of, having lit fireworks or lit bombs and delivering them to people. That is fucking amazing. I did not think to do that, but I may have to start playing around with that class just so I can annoy the living shit out of people that are shouting. You will join in? You'll come join us now? What? Maybe she will.
Come on down!
Are we going to start doing the whole... oh, God. I'm going to say the wrong show, and I watch this almost religiously with my child because he's obsessed with it.
You're thinking Price is Right?
I was thinking Price is Right, but I was going to say Deal or No Deal because that's my stupid brain saying the wrong damn thing. We even bought him Plinko, a little itty bitty Plinko, so he can do Plinko, and it's the most annoying shit. Is that a Xenia?
Hello, Xenia.
Hi.
Hi, girl.
Hey, what's up?
Finally, another woman voice, not just me.
You guys, please continue, but excuse me 1 second.
Okay. So, tell us about these bombs.
Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to mute the stream.
And anyone can join, by the way, if you're in the thing. Come on and join. It's fine.
Well, okay. To be honest, I don't know if the bombs still work because I'm pulling off of things I used to do 2 or 3 years ago. Ever since I've come back, I'm gonna say I've been a lot less annoying with my with what I do in game. But you used to be able to light a firework or a bomb and pass it off to your hound, deliver it in the right time frame, and it doesn't explode in the hound's mouth. It'll go to whoever's hand and it'll go off. I preferred using it with fireworks because who doesn't want to have a firework go off remotely? But you could do it with bombs. I don't know if you can still hand those bombs if that's ever been changed. So it's worth testing.
I just sent you a bunch of bombs, Sid, if you end up wanting to test it.
Is that your way of saying that you want to see me on death site?
Possibly yes, because why not?
I think the immolation bomb might be a little. I think you light that one and you're done.
Yeah, I think that's
The immolation bomb is instant.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah,
I think you mean bomb crafting bombs.
yeah, bomb. I couldn't. There's a couple of new bombs. I don't remember immolation bomb being around 2 or 3 years ago. Whenever I was last very much more active.
Which one should I make then and send him? Maybe a grenade? I could do this later. It's fine. But, you know, you could just go run and kill a bunch of random people with some immolation bombs now. It's fine.
Yeah, Hound Tracking. I forget what y'all said that was. That one that does the balance knock. Also fantastic, just for like being very snoopy and getting around gauntlets that let you know when you are what's it called, far seeing people, because well, you can just watch where they're going and figure it out generally. Or if you just don't even, or if you don't care if the hound finds them and they realize that you were tracking them, to determine whether or not, if you don't know where they are already, but you can see through Sixth Sense. Is that the one where you can kind of see where everybody is sent through who? Like if you don't know where that room is, I use Hound Track a lot to determine where people are and what area something is in, to if I don't have it in my map already. It stops at a closed door, so then you kind of know there. Oh, they're in a building with a door or something like that. I love Hound Track. I use it all the time, and I call it back before it hits anybody a lot of times, so people don't even realize that maybe I've been snooping on them.
See, when I call my simulacra back, they just immediately start walking towards the person again. So basically, I just have to let it happen and then call them back.
It's a pain to call it back because you got to like then swap them out. Got to like keep calling them back, go to them, swap, and then swap your hounds from being the active one.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know about the swapping step, so I remember one time I had sent one to pursue someone and then changed my mind, so I was like, oh, come back. And then just kept walking away. No matter how many times I called it back, I was like, oh, I guess we're just going to let this happen.
I think a hack for that is ordering them passive once they're in your room, because that's how I've got openings to shut up before. Whenever, if I hit something I didn't mean to hit, like a mount or a pet, and the hound openings just keeps going off. I've been able to
that
order
right
them
now.
passive.
I'm gonna go have a simulacrum push Iesid, and hopefully he's not too close.
I was gonna say you can either do that or you can push at me. It's fine. I'm just sitting here.
But I think I can't really talk about all the intricacies of PK. Well, actually, y'all, everything y'all said I've been like, oh yeah, I do know this. I can't pull it off because it requires a level of awareness while things are happening in the moment on the screen that I've never really trained. But outside of that, the utilities of a Carnifex are just so great. I don't know why anyone would want to be in any other class. Me speaking as only playing Carnifex for, I guess, coming up on 10 years now. I have multiple classes tri-transed, but I'm one of those just Carnifex forever players.
this where we say Carnifex for life, and do like gang symbols and stuff and all that? Like
Absolutely.
West Coast, yeah.
I feel that. Bulrok's no longer part of the guild, but I haven't swapped Carnifex or swapped 2 Carnifex in like probably since like February or March.
That
But I
seems
can't quit the class because I love it.
I was gonna say, so that seems like a long time for you to not be playing that class. You pretty much played that have played that pretty religiously besides Sciomancer, right?
Sort of. It was. I didn't really entertain the idea of getting multiple classes on Bulrok. Whenever I made them, I just joined the Carnifex and was like, I'm just gonna do this because it's easy.
Retired too many times.
Hush.
In my head though, regardless, you'll always be Draymond to me. So that means, like, to me, like your main class is always Praenomen, even though it's been literal years since you've really bothered with that class. I know Bulrok has, story-wise, as you know, that's changed a bit, but still, just to me, you're always like the Praenomen player.
Yeah.
That's pretty valid. I mean, have you picked Prey back up? And I know this is getting off of the topic, but have you picked it back up again?
Yeah, I put it off as long as it's what I used to duel in the duel last night.
Oh, cool. Did you win?
No. Benedicto teamed me with Raven.
Nice.
Leave it the spirit to turn into a 2v1.
Damn, man! Wow.
No, I think Bulrok, Zinya's viewpoint, a little skewed. I appreciate the skewness though, because I appreciate the impact that I had as Draymond. But Bulrok was a Carnifex long enough and stuck with Carnifex long enough that people who don't know him still think he's Carnifex.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a quick update, sorry. I could not order them passive because you have to be on balance, and rallying them back puts you off balance. And then switching them just made the one that I switched to keep going and chase Iesid down. So I'm not sure how to stop them anymore.
I'll have to play around with it, and then when I get it down, or when I do it, I'll share my secret. It's not really a secret, but
I would appreciate it because sometimes I send them to chase someone, and then I'm like, probably don't need to, and then I'm like, but there's nothing I can do about it now. So
just commit.
I do really want to make. I hope that the bomb stuff still works, and the fireworks for that matter.
That would be amazing.
But,
Not even like for like hurting people. It's just go send them shit and annoy them in a very playful way.
Yeah, but I definitely think that like Hound Track is definitely it's a very niche thing, but it does have some practical uses in when you're fighting. I wouldn't say in a duel or anything, but just if you're skirmishing.
Yeah.
What's the EQ cost on it? Or balance cost, whichever.
Let me scroll up. Hound balance is 3.5 seconds, and it used 1 second of equilibrium.
I think you could probably get like a niche use out of that, maybe.
Talk about in duel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just as a way to like stop a runner from getting too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there would be something better in its place to use, but
I'm saying that's one of the things that somebody who's not me should definitely go out and test though, and let me know how that works for you.
yeah.
I feel like if they get away from my anticipate spam, then it's already too late for me, typically.
Yeah,
Anticipate is the prepare to run or prepare to chase, rather. Is that the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my creativity is burdened with experience, so.
Oh no, it's burden. That sounds just like such a weight on your shoulders.
Okay, no, it really is, because going back to like Kagura's Hound Defend thing, like I had a lot of experience with the class, and even MJ was like, yeah, it's a worthless skill, and we both wrote it off. But lo and behold, it's not.
I know. I was being a dick to you, and you didn't let me, so I'm sorry. My
I
joke just
had to
fell
defend
flat.
my honor. Had to defend my honor.
It's fine. I didn't realize you had honor to defend, so that's fine. It's fine.
See, look, you still got me in the end.
Yes. High five self. Yeah. Okay. Well, did you guys have any other things you want to talk about with like kit or utility for either of these two classes?
Nothing I can think of.
I think some of the utility is sort of jack of all tradesy too, because like if I really want to split someone up when they're approaching, like I would just have an Indorani or an Earthcaller with, like whatever our convocation is, or spamming Lust, or something like that.
Yeah.
But also they do have range, but again, it's like jack of all trades type of thing, because like hammer throw's great and you should use it whenever we're calling for ranged, but I could think of a million different ranged abilities I would prefer to have.
Yeah, I mean, I know what happens a lot of the time is like if one person hammer throws, then they immediately get swarmed by the other team's entire ranged offense if it's just the one person.
Yeah.
And that is honestly always pretty funny. But I was also thinking like utility that isn't 100% PK related, but can be really helpful with PK is Wardens have intervention, and Carnifex have substitute, which is like a built-in self-revive. And I believe, let me double check before I say something stupid.
Don't wait. We all say something stupid without thinking about it all the time.
Well, fortunately, I was correct, despite everything. Both also have a resurrection for other players, so you don't have to rely on racial revive. So that I think is especially helpful for newer players who haven't had the time to build up race skill points. But maybe a little niche, but still there.
I miss that it used to raise them as kind of like temporary zombies or something, wasn't it? I forget what it was. Or does it still act like that for Carnifex? I don't think it does.
What skill?
The one that would do the revive.
So call.
Yeah.
I think the original release was before me, Zinnia, but yes. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Zinnia.
No, but I will say in regards to the soul substitute, it used to be way better. I think I got it changed because I discovered I could, before there was there used to not be a balance, and you could chain it. So I would use I would have soul substitute, and then when that dropped, I would be able to use the tattoo, and there was no cooldown at the time. And so I got to a point in group fights where I could live long enough to have it come back up, then have it ink another tattoo, and I just wouldn't die. I could tank forever without being very tanky or wailed out with artifacts. That quickly got changed though. I do kind of miss that aspect of it, even though it's unfair.
I remember those fights too, actually. And yeah, you would just die and die and die, and it just would not. It was hard to get you to just be dead. It's like, just die for real so we can move on to someone else. Usually it would end up we would just change targets if you were doing it that many times. And then yeah, it did get changed pretty soon after that. I don't remember how soon, but it was definitely pretty soon after.
Yeah.
A big utility skill that is popular on Shadow, popular with me specifically, that you guys don't have to really worry about. You probably look at this skill and go, what do I need this for? Is Soulstorm. And one day we'll have shamans and you'll get to experience how amazing that skill is.
Oh boy.
Excuse me, I like my familiar.
What? Hold on. It's useless in a 1v1, but like if we win a group fight, shaman pets don't disperse or fuck off into the aether like other pets do. So some people will sit there and attack it, and that's a pointless endeavor. I mean, they'll eventually get it, but it's gonna take 10 minutes. You're all gonna resurrect and come back and kill us while we're trying to do that. Or the Carnifex could just soulstorm it and it goes away.
I say go for it because I'm pretty mad that when I came back, I learned Sentinels couldn't have ravens anymore because of Shaman Raven Spirit.
Do they not have ravens?
I
feel
thought
really...
they
It's
did.
Rooks now. Yeah.
Oh.
So I had to get my customization changed, which was awkward because mine was still targetable with ravens, even though it had been changed. I don't even know how long ago, because it happened sometime in the time when I took a long break before coming back to Eaku.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Now I kind of feel silly because I was talking to Karok last night after the duel, and unlike what 99% of you would all do, I got Benedicto buff last night after he killed me.
Nice.
That's a joke, but
Oh,
I was talking to Karok about death, and I don't remember the exact conversation, but I brought up how Balnox just interrupted flat out.
Hmm.
Wait, I
I see.
Sorry, I was reading chat.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? All this.
I started off thinking that I had really messed up at first. But anyways, so I was talking to Karok about it, and I don't remember the exact conversation we were having, but I mentioned that Balance Nox interrupted. Oh, I'd never seen a Raven before, and he's like, I'm sure you added it to your system, and I was like, yeah, I already had like an epilepsy push for prey, and he was and I explained that to him. I was like, because Balnox interrupted, and he was like, it shouldn't do that, and I was like, it does. And so I switched over to Indrani and grabbed the log. I don't know if he's going to fix it or not, but based on the way the conversation was going, it does sound like a bug or a change that he forgot because it was never mentioned. But the reason I bring this up is because ravens used to be the pet for sentinels that did the Balnock and all that stuff with the infuriating swoop combo for infinite stall.
Yeah, I think they're.
those ravens are terrible. I hated them.
But
I think they're not as popular anymore for 1v1 at least.
Well, because we found out that Dodge Upset has a 100% proc rate on Rook Swoop.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yep. But I mentioned to him while talking to him about Balnox interrupting death last night that Raven did it. So now I just feel silly for saying Raven instead of Rook. There's a whole lot of backstory for that itty bitty punchline.
I mean, if I hadn't had to change the customization and gone through all of that, I would probably still be calling it Raven. But now, since I had to go through the process of getting it fixed, it's just ingrained in my brain.
I bet you anything,
prenomen
though.
aliases.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say my prenomen aliases for raising minions are still Wraith and Ghast and White.
I mean, that's super common. Like, on the system side, up until I started building new sys, I was still calling it Bloodroot instead of Opiate.
Well, in Sunder, it still refers to all the old plants when you're setting up new afflictions. That's how it's checking the herbs. This is checking it by the old names. It's not checking by the other because this is built for whoever knows how many other games that use the other plant names.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is old.
Yeah, see, it's like a kelp. Yeah, affliction table. Ta-da! It's using kelp. And all that other crap. Ginseng, lobelia. And that's what some of the routes still, at one point, used to refer to still. Is like, you would say, routes referring to that. Although, luckily, most of that's gone now. If you ever get Mazis, though, they absolutely still are called, like, ginseng route and everything for some of the things.
Trickle made a surprise appearance last night and got super mad that he couldn't enter Eat Bloodroot anymore.
It has to be someone that hasn't played in forever. So I don't know. Could be anyone.
Wait a minute. Can't you still config old?
Yeah,
tiers?
there's the config.
I think you can
old
do it for
tiers.
the messages. I don't think the commands work.
No, that's actually what it's for. Is for you to be able to go do see Bloodroot, and it should. Yeah, I don't have it right now, but it would still pull out the right herb for you.
Because I used that forever because I could not remember Reishi for the longest time, and I'd be like,
Yeah, right here. This one is
You
it'll
have it
substitute any olds.
backwards. Mhm. It's only for the commands that you enter. There used to be substitution for the messages from the game as well, but that was removed in the recent changelog.
Okay, so I had it backwards.
Well, see, yeah, there we go. Now I pulled up opiates. So, okay. Anyway, who was it?
Trickle?
Oh, that's right. Chakal was on. I saw it in web. He had been talking to Bene about something. Or Illical, maybe it was. I don't remember.
Definitely illegal.
Yeah, definitely Illical.
Illidan.
Apparently, you need to
Illidan.
call more often.
Illy.
Yeah.
I can't say
That shaman who
illico and
won't
not share
shut up.
alcohol.
It does sound like alcohol now that I think about it.
That's all I think about, and I was like, oh, okay. I just kind of, when they say illico, I just hear alcohol.
Now we got to make a drink. That's just got to be a thing. It's got to be the Illical alcohol.
The illicolic.
Oh no.
That's what all of his fangirls are now. They're Illicolics.
Yep, that's exactly where my mind went.
Oh, how quickly this stream just. You guys are worse than degenerates I deal with on a daily basis.
No, we're not. We're really not that bad.
No, you're not.
I'm just a next level. Damn it, I can't even think of the word. So never mind. I'm not.
Nice.
Well, I think something that we could have talked about, but I didn't bring up, and I don't think anyone else really brought up about, would be like counter classes towards Carnifex.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
The stream is verging on an hour and a half, and I'd love to sit here and talk to you guys all day, but I'm just gonna like judge the room here.
Mhm.
Like, do you guys want to keep talking about it now that I brought it up, or do you just want to go ahead and not?
I could say a couple things about that. That's definitely like a big one. That and weapon stats. I think weapon stats would also be like a good.
That's also a good point.
Yeah. When it comes to like good counters, I think like part of the way I think about countering any class is like how can I get around the tools they have. So like I look at like their active cures. So I think like mental focus roots are pretty strong against Carnifex, like in general, because like it doesn't apply to Soul Purge.
Yes. What would you say specifically as like a mental type of route? Because whenever you say mental, I think Archivist, and I think like Prey.
ShamWow.
I think
ShamWow.
I think Archivist, Prey, ShamWow. I would say like Sentinel has like a light mental root.
Yeah, I was about to bring up Sentinel. You can do like not as mentals as the other ones you mentioned, but definitely
like,
have a good list.
But like the Daunt route is more for like getting the phobias. Like it's not necessarily like super mental focus. It just happens to be like, sticking invasions is important, and then getting to the two phobias is important. Like padding these is important, but like it's not. I wouldn't say it's a mental route in the same way as like Archivist would be, or like Shaman would be, or like Sciomancer maybe.
I have a counter argument, and I might be contrarian just to be contrarian.
Okay.
So it's actually something that I noticed while going over the log versus me and Taj last night. Blood Curse is it has a type attribute of a physical affliction, and prey is primarily mental afflictions. It's where the bulk of its affliction goes. But what that meant was that the most dangerous affliction that I could give him at the time was Blood Curse because, of its effects and like how it ramps up rituals. He just cured it like basically on cooldown with Soul Purge. Whereas like versus you or Nasavi or Kirshu, like you didn't have any skills that targeted specific afflictions. They were just completely random in general.
Yeah.
Like it was much easier to stick Blood Curse on you guys and let
Yep.
it do its job. Whereas Taj, it was just a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, because he
And
can like narrowly focus that affliction, pretty much. Yeah.
I think the same kind of applies to Archivist, where like they can do all the mentals all day. Like if an Archivist wanted to and they just focused primarily on sticking mentals, I think they would rack up an AF count of like 10 plus afflictions pretty easily.
Oh yeah.
And there wouldn't be much. Like you'd still kill them because they're not doing anything, but it wouldn't be AF count. But then like they have to stick the physicals for the kill. But Soul Purge really gets in the way of that.
Yeah, because Purge and Annul, the cooldown isn't super long either. So when it comes to keeping physical afflictions, or I think going up against especially Venom classes, not trying to transition too far, but like in terms of why it's hard for me to come up with classes that specifically counter it. If you have a requirement to lock Carnifex, or if you have a requirement to have physical Fs on Carnifex, they have some very good tools, if they play around them correctly, to deny that.
Yeah, like I
Go
often say that like Carnifex is like a Templar's worst nightmare. Just like in comparison, I would say that like just Carnifex has a lot of on-demand ways to like mess with like the average game plan. And I feel like that kind of like hits the nail on the head for what he's saying, because like probably a lot of lock classes feel that way. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's I don't think Slickness has a type attribute on it, and anorexia is obviously mental, impatience is mental, stupidity is mental. Let me check impairment because I've ever actually looked at it.
I think it's physical.
It is physical. There's a I think it's harder because there's such like a focus for physical based classes like such as Carnifex or Templar to stick like those physical afflictions, but then they also need to like they're very split in their affliction delivery and the pulls that they need to achieve their kill route. So that makes it much more difficult. But I think Aladdin was kind of right, whereas Shaman is a fully mental route, but they don't require, and this goes back to what Iaku said, they don't require any type of physical afflictions. It's just all mental.
Yeah.
So I think Shaman is a very good counter too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Shaman also has a couple of tools to deal with not getting immediately obliterated by the AF output as well.
Yeah.
I was also going to say
10%.
It's probably still not like a counter.
I just said the magic word. Do I start screaming or?
Oh boy. I was just gonna say real quick. I do think Carnifex is still really, really good against Templar, but there's something I haven't really tested, but I know, or at least I've heard, Bulrok and Mule have done some things with. I haven't tested it post the nerf. Is lightning and maybe pushing for more of a mental stack at first as Templar. I think that might make a little bit better progress than just going for the standard full physical lock focus. But again, I haven't really tested it. I haven't had anyone use it against me specifically. I don't really know. That's just something that comes to mind, as maybe it's not as part of a counter as it looks.
I know pre-nerf, it was hands down my go-to. Post-nerf, it's still not as bad. I still have it in my offense to fire over at Doom or Vorpal. Um, it would definitely be something I really need to play around with a lot more. But I think Carnifex in general, just because like they have fitness on top of Soul Purge,
Yeah.
it was always a difficult lock, and it's almost a mirror in that sense, because we're like a lock is not your in game goal. It's just something you get to as part of that for both Templar and Carnifex. So it really hard for me, like off the top of my head, to. And I know you didn't ask for the commentary. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, it's just like you. It'd be something I definitely have to experiment with more to get a more solid answer on.
That does bring up a good point, though. We've only really talked about Lock and other affliction classes here. How about the limb classes versus Carnifex? Any that do particularly poorly? Any that do particularly well?
Not so much these days because of whatever change it was that I can't remember. Uh, Actually, I don't even know if that change hit them. I know that I strongly pushed for some type of parry change that got pushed through that mainly just affected Pregnomen, because I know that whenever I fought Bormentia as prey, it was a nightmare, because if he hit left or right arm, it didn't matter what weapon I was or what arm I was wielding the weapon in. My parry was disabled. My or no, parry wasn't disabled, but like my offense was disabled. But Carnifex has never really had the disable thing going on for them, because they have something I think Sentinels have. I think Karok. I think one day we got off on a
Expertise.
tangent. Yeah, expertise.
It's in I know it's battle flow for Wardens.
I want to say it's rage.
No,
Reckless.
Oh,
Right.
reckless.
Yeah.
Recklessness. Yeah.
Reckless. Yeah. You can use two-handed weapons even with one broken arm.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they're at an advantage there compared to most classes, whereas like Revenant or Templar, like they have to start using Discord or whatever the Templar equivalent is, along with Riving or Gouge or Rend. So I think that's something that affects them less. I think they're better equipped to deal with limb classes, but I don't know that they necessarily have any like outstanding strengths.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I will say regarding Templar and Revenant, at least it's not behind the torque gate anymore. It's just baked in with Discord and Contort, I think.
Yes.
I think that was a really good change. I know we're not talking about Rovplar, but just since it came up.
It's definitely kind of segue into like general PvP talk. I think that's definitely a good way to handle things. I don't think a class should be fully disabled by a specific affliction. I think they should have ways around it. Like I know me and Iesid, well, yeah, we kind of had this conversation with Bard about how like how there are things they can do against rebounding, because like they have a raise, but it's just a raise. They don't have like an RSK
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think ways of fighting around things are welcome, but complete shutdowns are just really heartbreaking.
Okay. And on that silence, did we want to shift thoughts any towards weapon stats or anything, or was there anything else that we should talk about as far as classes that are really good against Warden and Carnifex?
I think classes, weapon stats. I could probably go off on a tangent for hours, and
Yeah.
I kind of get the idea that like maybe I don't think it could be a full episode on its own, even though I could rant about it forever. I think that could be something we tackle in like maybe if we have like a miscellaneous episode about just general PK.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Weapon
there's
sets are weird.
a lot to tackle with weapon
Yeah.
stats.
Yeah. But as far as classes that are strong against them, I'd say classes that have like a lot of burst healing, which again goes, or not necessarily burst healing, but I guess ways to heal, which kind of goes back to Shaman and then like Luminary or Earthcaller.
Hmm.
Or even, I know Archivist, they got a little nerf to Recollection. I can't remember exactly what that nerf is off the top of my head, but I still think that it's a pretty solid counter pick as far as like if you want to like survive.
I feel like it got a cooldown and it didn't have much of a cooldown before. It was just if you
What?
had it available with recollection.
What about a Sendril? I feel like if they don't want to die, they're kind of good. But that could be against any class.
Mm. Ascend turtling, but while running the Limrit at least, it doesn't really have any hinder for Carnifex. So you end up on the defensive very, very quickly against well-tuned Carnifex offenses.
I
And
think
every time you blood boil, you're burning 3 seconds of time that could have been used for a fire lash and self pressure.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all good.
I was just gonna say, I think Father Crime is Almorite and is making several good points in chat, which I can't really touch on because I just don't 1v1 as much as you guys anymore, or even like overall, but especially not recently. So I don't know if you guys had anything to add based on what was being said in chat.
No, I think he's actually someone that I wanted to be on here today, but he had a
Thing.
A thing.
thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. They'll come eventually, right? Everyone sneaks in eventually. You got Eliadon to sneak in and Xenia. They just kind of hopped in. It's fine.
Amal, I need you here for Terrigen, bro. Whenever we get to that class.
Yes,
Yeah,
for
oh,
real.
Yeah.
No, but no, he's pretty solid on all the points. I think it's definitely hard to hinder them as a limb class. The precisions. Where you just chilling on your, where you just chilling on your phone talking to us?
Nice.
Nice.
Precision is good for the anti-dodge, but I think clumsiness still hits them. So I also think like classes that deliver clumsiness consistently are good. I think I genuinely think Revenant is actually a good counter just because like they don't have to just because their healing skill is, to go back to what Eliadon said, they have to give up 3 seconds to toss out their healing skill for Blood Boil, but Absorb or Cleansing for Revplar is entirely passive. They don't have to do anything about it outside of make sure that they don't have Paresis whenever it's time to tick. And the rest are it just allows them to keep going with offensive pressure while that happens.
Yeah, that's the handy thing about being shaman is you have, what is it, tranquility?
But Tranquility kind of plays the reverse role of Purity versus Prey here, to where like they
True.
only need one mental affliction to stick, and like if you go for an implant combo into a lock and then, you know, that stupid oath hits it, that's it. You just burned a 45-second cooldown
True.
for nothing.
Very true. And yeah, they still have fitness.
Yeah, fitness is. I think some of the most frustrating matches I've fought would be like Revplar mirror matches, or Carnifex versus Revplar, or Carnifex mirror matches. Like I think they both definitely counter each other very well.
Okay. Well, anyone else have any comments there or any thoughts? And, classes versus Warden, Carnifex. Wardifex, is that what we call it? Wardifex or Carnadin?
I say ward effects.
Wardifex. I like it better.
Yeah.
This might be like a more of a niche thing, but I think one thing that makes Carnifex, at least in my opinion, a little bit of a better matchup into the other fitness and night classes is because you can a bit more effectively with Carnifex Warden damage bases, you can a bit more effectively do a cheesier damage route and avoid dealing with fitness. So, I don't know, for example, that's something that I will try a lot going up against Templar because, yeah, cleansing is still a thing, but if I can invalidate fitness, then it doesn't really affect me as much.
That's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, 3-stack Bloodburst hurts like a motherfucker. So.
Any other thoughts, folks? Because I, don't want to keep you guys too much longer. I know that, we've been at it for over an hour and a half and, we are running out of things, I think, to speak to with it.
First off, you don't know me as well as I thought you did, because I'll talk PK until tomorrow.
Okay, I'm talking about the rest of the people, not you, because you will talk for forever, and I know this. It's fine.
I mean, I would probably also be happy to, but I can't stay here until tomorrow because we have some sort of porch inspection happening, so I need to clean that up today.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we have covered most of everything that we needed to cover. We probably could have talked about utility a little more, but I think anyone interested in the utility could just follow Iesid's advice and just experiment with your skills and think about like how they could be applied.
I think that's a valid thing that anyone should do anyway when you're first getting into a class. Just sit there, take a day if you have it, and read every single AB because it definitely helps. I go back and do that all the time when I'm trying to think of new ways to handle classes or try to figure out some sort of new cheese to utilize in group utility. So it's always a good thing. Even if you've done it once, go back through it again. It's not going to hurt anything. Besides, take up some time.
And also use them on people, especially if they're AFK.
Yes. Just go randomly, use Hound Pursuit and all of that on people. Just have at it. And definitely test the bomb and firework thing out. We need to know.
For instance, if you're confused on what Oblivion does in song calling, just go test it on someone who's AFK.
Please just don't do it to me.
Oh, no. Just do it in group PK.
Yeah.
Yeah, just see what happens.
Kill 8 of your teammates and 2 of the enemy. Oh, wait.
And
You'll
just
be
deal with
pleasantly
salt.
surprised.
Just be prepared to deal with salt. It's okay though. Salt is normal. Sing Oblivion at Bloodlock Gates. There you go. Yes. Someone please go do that, Eliaden. You haven't done it yet. You need to do it.
Westgate, I believe the VNOM is 933. Oh.
No, that's not Westgate. 9331 is...
Oh,
no, that is Westgate. Yeah,
it's
Westgate.
1331.
1331. Okay. You always kill Jarn. Okay. Well, I guess that will do it then. I appreciate you guys coming and having the show. We won't be having a show next Sunday because it's the holiday weekend. Are you changing that?
No, I want to throw up before we ended the show and forget.
Yeah.
We talked about doing a log breakdown.
Yes.
And me and I talked about it, and given that we have it would have been a great way to end the series, but for various different reasons, or to end the series, to start the series, but for various different reasons, couldn't do it this weekend. We would like to, I guess, request what you guys would like to see as far as like a log breakdown, like a class matchup if you have something in mind, or if any of you guys would like to submit a log, and then like if we pick you, you come on the stream with us and we'll break it down with you and just go over everything.
Yo, we can have so many different guests on for that too. If you think you're good at reading logs, or if you like want to help people read logs and understand logs, we'd love to have you on too.
That reminds me, I really
I
need
am
to talk to
unfortunately
Kagura because
terrible at it.
Kagura posts all of their logs.
Looks like
All
fireworks
of
still
them.
work. The firework delivery of Carnifex still works on Warehounds, guys.
Yep. Thanks for that.
That's the first firework I ever made.
It's very pretty. I like it. It's got that little wolf on it.
That's a hound.
Well, it looks like a wolf. I'm sorry.
It does look like a wolf.
Because it's hungry like the wolf. But ow. Anyway, like Bull and, and Sid were saying, definitely go ahead, get with them if there's any particular class matchups that you would like to see in some, log review, or if you are good at reviewing logs, like Kagura would be great. Make sure to let them know.
sorry, you don't even have to be good at reading logs. Like if you want to come on and like have us review your log,
Ooh,
like with you over it.
that would be good.
And I will say, as someone who is not good at reading logs, I would 100% recommend doing something like that. Like, even if you don't want to like go on the show, like asking someone, and obviously they're not obligated to, but asking someone who is better to help you take a look can help a lot, because I'm terrible at it. I will occasionally reach out to people like, hey, here's this log. I got absolutely curb stomped. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
Spirit or Shadow, just put it in the Ada bin or Ada haste bin and send it to me. I'll read it, and if I have anything to say, I'll send something back to you.
Okay. Now, do you guys have an idea of when you're looking to do that show to let people know? Or just, it's a general whenever if we get it?
The next Sunday show that we have. Like if
Okay.
if we can't get some submissions or something like that, then I already have a shit ton of logs stored from the duel, or Iesid could provide some of his own, or we could do anything like that.
It's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be a lot of bard logs. So I will bring a couple of bard logs at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't think bombs work anymore, guys, because you gotta just throw them on the ground as opposed to lighting them or anything like that.
Okay. Well, it was worth a shot. At least the fireworks work.
Hey,
It's
that's
something.
fun.
All right. Well, anything else, Bull or Sid, you want to do advertisement-wise for the Sunday show?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, yay. Well then, okay. So Tuesday's show is still on for this week for anyone that does want to join. Have no idea what I'm doing yet. I hadn't figured that out yet. Probably be something lore discussion. So if there's something in particular you would like to see discussed, or you want to come on and discuss, that would be great. Just hit me up. Let me know. And then, next Sunday and probably the next Tuesday, because it is the holiday weekend here in the States, won't bother to have shows because I'm pretty sure people are going to be doing other things. But hey, thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you had a blast listening. I'll have the OD up tomorrow. And, just have a great week, everyone. Take care. And bye.
Later.
Bye.